Hey, I'm Jake. I make RPG supplements and videos about Pathfinder 2 and other stuff, but mostly Pathfinder 2 because Pathfinder 2 is my favorite game maybe that I've ever played. It's a close running. I like World of Darkness, but I love Pathfinder 2, especially the character creation, which is why we're talking about archetypes today. So stick with me, and we're going to talk about the weapon improviser, the archetype that never needed to be. That's right, because really this is just like a good list of suggestions for a GM to run bar combat. Like, you can use this as an archetype, fine, whatever, I'll go over that, but there's ideas here that you can just use as a GM to say, okay, so you can pick up that barrel and use it as a weapon because this archetype suggested you could, so why not? It's an easy crutch to run a bar brawl. So, weapon improviser. As far as you're concerned, the best weapon to wield is the one that your opponents never see coming. By knowing how to fight effectively with whatever's at hand, you ensure that you're never caught unarmed, and you often get the drop on opponents who mistakenly think they've caught you off guard. Whether you're smashing someone over the head with a bar stool, tossing a mug of ale in their face to blind them, or stabbing your foes with a broken bottle, you can find weapons anywhere and employ them creatively whenever a fight breaks out. Because you fight with disposable weapons, you don't need to be as careful with your weapons as other warriors do, and you can break them when needed to win a fight without feeling any regrets later. So that's what this is all about. Taking pieces of your environment and using them against your enemy. It's sort of like one of the feats of the Viking, which was to just like pick up something nearby that's random, that's roughly shield size, and use it as a shield. Similar idea. Before I go into the feats, I want to read the little inset blurb, improvised weapon ideas. So if you are in a cavern, the GM might suggest improvised weapon ideas of broken stalagmites or large mushrooms or old bones. How can you hurt someone with a large mushroom? It doesn't matter. If you're at the docks, you could use a barrel, a crate, or a hook. If you're in a forest, a branch, needles, or thorns. Needles? Like a handful of pine needles? That would actually hurt. Have you ever tried to sleep on pine needles? Nah, don't do that. It sucks. If you're in a market, a box, fruit, a scale, or a sign could be used as weapons. If you're in a noble court, a gavel, a goblet, a quill, or a lectern. A quill. The pen is mightier than the sword. Stab him in the throat with a quill. In a tavern, a bottle, mug, serving tray, or stool. Sure, it's for improvising weapons wherever you are, but this totally just screams bar fight. I cannot count how many bar fights characters that I've had or run have been in. It's like a common staple of RPGs. Weapon improviser dedication, level 2 feat. Prerequisite, trained in all martial weapons, which is annoying because you're taking the archetype to not have to use weapons. Fine, I get the logic behind being required to use them because, like, you step beyond the martial weapons, but so what? Like, are rogues trained in all martial weapons? No, and the idea of a bar fighter is sort of roguish to me. Okay, maybe like the brawling rogue, but still, that. Anyway, what it does is you don't take the normal -2 penalty to attack rolls with improvised weapons. Additionally, whenever you gain a class feature that grants you expert or greater proficiency with any weapon, you also gain that proficiency with improvised weapons. You can use improvised weapons. That's all it means. Level 4 feat. Improvised pummel. 1 action. Requirements. You're wielding an improvised weapon. You make a strike with your wielded improvised weapon. You gain a +1 item bonus to the attack roll, and the strike deals 2 weapon damage dice if it would have dealt fewer. If the attack is a critical hit, in addition to the effect of the critical hit, the improvised weapon breaks. If the item has a hardness greater than your level, or if it's an artifact, cursed item, or other item that's difficult to break or destroy, the item doesn't break and the attack is a hit instead of a critical hit, which sucks. Because, like, if you pick up a really good reusable improvised weapon, you can't reuse it for good effect. Sad. At 12th level, your item bonus to the attack roll increases to +2 instead of +1. At 16th, it's 3 weapon damage dice if it would have dealt fewer instead of 2. Automatic bonus progression makes this feat do nothing. So I don't think it should exist. Yeah, fine. Not everybody uses automatic bonus progression, but why? You should. It's easier on the DM and more fun for the player and less accounting. Anyway, I think it's a stupid feat. Level 6 feat, Surprise Strike. Whenever you make a strike with an improvised weapon against a creature that hasn't seen you make a strike using an improvised weapon or that is otherwise ignorant of your skill with improvised weapons, the creature is flat-footed against you for that strike. Seems to make sense to me. You're drinking a mug of ale and you suddenly decide to smash it over your enemy's head. That would be surprising. I would be off guard. I don't think it should be 6th level. That should be lower, because that's sort of the point of improvised weapons. Just grab anything and surprise people with it. Level 8 feat, Improvised Critical. You can apply critical specialization effects to improvised weapons you wield. For any given improvised weapon, the GM determines which critical specialization effect is most applicable based on the type of object it is. This is really standard for any melee weapon archetype thing feat. This is never going to be amazing. It might be worth the use of a feat, but unlikely. Another level 8 feat, Makeshift Strike. It's 1 action. You quickly snatch up whatever's nearby and then attack with it as an improvised weapon. You interact to pick up a nearby object you could use as an improvised weapon. It must be located at or around your chest level, such as a mug on a table, rather than an object on the floor. You then either strike or make an improvised pummel with the improvised weapon. An improvised pummel usually takes an attack. And if you've taken feats up to this point, when you do this, your enemy is off guard. For 1 action, you pummel them. It's great. It's the point of the archetype. It's perfect. Maybe a little high level. But again, like I said, this is useful for GMs to take as inspiration and make things in a bar work this way without the archetype. Level 10 feat, Shattering Strike. This would always require the archetype because it's actually a little bit powerful. You have to take improvised pummel for it first. It's a reaction. Trigger. An improvised weapon that you are wielding becomes broken as a result of a critical success on an improvised pummel. The improvised weapon shatters, destroying it completely but dealing an additional 3d6 piercing damage to the creature you hit with the improvised pummel. This extra damage you apply on the critical hit doesn't double from the critical hit as normal. At level 10, this is a perfectly appropriate increase in damage. 3d6 piercing damage. This is really good. The level 8 and level 10 feats, okay, along with the one that makes people count as off guard, the Surprise Strike. So level 6 feat, Surprise Strike, level 8, Makeshift Strike, and level 10, Shattering Strike are the point of the archetype. It sucks that they're so high level. In fact, I would probably just collapse this, remove some feats, and make everything 2nd, 4th, and 6th. So that by 6th level, you can shatter things over people's heads because it's fun. This is a flavor-rich archetype, and obviously you can tell I like it. I think I'm going to try to wedge this into a campaign somewhere. How am I going to do this? Like the little pirate adventure, sure, maybe, but where else? I'm going to have to put my players into a bar just so we can do this. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try making this happen without the archetype, and I'll let you know how it works. Probably in a community post. So subscribe if you haven't, and you'll see the post. If you have subscribed, great, you'll see the post. And thank you for being here. Thank you for everybody for being here. I appreciate your eyes, your eyeballs. I need your balls of eyes. And I just pictured a big glob of eyes. Too many Eldritch horror games recently. Patrons, thank you. Loot says, thank you for giving me treats and a place to live. I love you. Either that or fucking feed me, bitch. I'm not sure. If you want to be a patron and help out the channel, go to Patreon, links in the description. For at least $5, you help support us, and you get entered into a monthly drawing to win some cool handmade dice made by Storm, my girlfriend. You can see the links to the store in the description, too. The Etsy store is pretty cool. If you want to check out my builds, you can go to the link or check the build videos, because they're cool. Backstories make the character. And so you have to have a backstory. So there always is going to be a backstory in my builds. Sort of the point of the builds, actually. Or you can see the latest live stream here. Yes, hello. Or familiars. I don't think I have space anywhere. Familiars? Probably not. Maybe right on the familiar? Yeah, hi. I love you too. Thank you for being here. Okay, thanks. Bye.